that any of us can muster in this room. And I know he spoke of vet shortages in his comment here a second ago, and I just want to say, thank my colleagues in advanced education and all the work that we've done together to increase the vet seats in the Western College of Veterinary Medicine in our neighboring province, to increase them from 15 seats to 20. That's outstanding. And I really hope the member realizes that there's an incentive or an attraction for rural members, including simple things that the NDP never did, I might add. Sure, they may have sponsored the seats back in the day, but they didn't focus it on large animal, which is the Department of Agriculture's focus on livestock. And those seats was something as simple as having 1,000 hours on a farm as part of the criteria is very important. And so I just want to say thank you to both departments, Advanced Education and the Department of Agriculture, for working so hard to make this a reality. You can't just wave a magic wand and find 5 seats in Canada, never mind Manitoba, because there aren't any. You can't just wave a magic wand and have these seats appear. So that took a lot of hard work, dedication, talking with the college and the dean, and I just want to say thank you to the department for their great work.
The honourable member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am so happy that the minister proved that what I said is correct. Whenever I ask this minister a question about Crown lands and Crown land lease regulations, the minister starts talking about 4-H clubs or vet shortage. That's exactly what the minister did in his response a minute back. I can assure the minister that I would give him an opportunity to talk about our wonderful people at Manitoba 4-H Council. I know they are doing great work. And I would give this minister an opportunity to talk about vet shortage. I've been talking to dairy farmers, talking to livestock producers, pet owners in Manitoba. Everyone has a concern about vet shortage. We would come to that point. But let's talk about Crown lands first. My question to the minister is, how much revenue these Crown land changes brought about by the PC government has brought to the government?
The honourable minister.
Well, I apologize if the member rambles so much. He is the one in his question that mentioned 4-H. He was the one that mentioned vet shortages, specifically in his question. So if he's rambling from topic to topic, I really only have so much time to get to all of these answers. But yes, I'm glad he supports 4-H, and I see he's wearing a green tie today, which we all know is 4-H's colors. But a lot of those producers or 4-H kids grow up to be producers, and they work, predominantly a lot of them work on the farm, and this is, believe it or not, they're kind of their pastime, their enjoyment time to go out and practice in 4-H. It's not specifically just farm kids, so don't get me wrong there. There's a whole mix of kids, but as those kids grow up, it's important that if they choose to go into being a producer or go into farming, that they have access. So the member's suggestion that we put a moratorium on all farmland sales is a little ridiculous, because how are these kids coming out of 4-H going to get into that system and purchase farmland? Now, along with farmland, they may want access to agriculture crown land as well, ag crown land. And our success that we've had in our auctions have put access to young producers at nearly 40% of the ag crown land. Using this last auction as an example, was won by young farmers. And along with times that are trying, I know a couple questions ago, the member mentioned that that government sits back and does nothing. Well, to help producers, and speaking of ag crown land, I'm very proud of the hard work that the department did in getting a 50, 35 and 15 percent, 33%, sorry, let me re-say that. 50% reduction in 2023, a 33% reduction in 2024, and a 15% reduction in 2025 on forage lease rents. And that's a reduction that's in place for the next 3 years. And Manitoba has about 1.5 million acres of ag crown land available for agriculture activities. These lands are a very important strategic resource that supports our producers and the sustainability objectives of the Manitoba Protein Advantage Strategy. And on this side of the house, as government, we recognize the importance of ag crown lands. And the department is dedicating additional resources of approximately $394,000 to build capacity to support the active and productive management of ag crown lands.
The honourable member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The minister just mentioned about reduction, 50%, 33%, and 15% reduction in lease rates. So that means that minister agrees that raising of lease rates on our crown land ranchers was wrong. That's why now the minister has considered helping those producers. Does the minister think that the crown land changes decision taken in 2019 before the provincial election and disclosed after the provincial election was a wrong decision?
The honourable minister.
I really hope the memory of the member is well enough to remember the drought of 2021. As I spoke about the programming that we released here earlier that helped producers make it through those extreme circumstances. And then we go from one extreme from that drought to excess moisture in the following year. And it goes from one extreme to the other. And I would argue that Interlake Gimli, my home constituency, was the epicenter of this. And to respond to that, the land was very stressed from one extreme to the other. And this rent reduction allows producers to recover from multiple years of extreme weather. So I don't know if the member doesn't remember that, but that was the impetus for the ag crown land reduction. It was to allow the land to recover, reducing the rent. Hopefully the member would know that when you have extreme stress on land, that it doesn't just keep growing grass for the animals to to eat, the member would know that you have to rest the land, and you need to give it a break. And we gave the producers a break.
The honorable member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can the minister confirm that these changes are not permanent and minister is going back to the increased lease rates that his government imposed on the Crown Land Ranchers?
The honorable minister.
It was, I clearly stated that this program reduces the rate by 50%, followed by 33%, and then followed by 15%. So that's what the current program is. About engaging with farmers, we set up a producer-led advisory group to help with the 2021 drought. And it was producer-led. Not everything has to be led by government. Although they do a great job, sometimes the ideas come from the front lines, are sometimes the outstanding ideas. So, you know, we listen, we support producers, and we support what they come up with from their advisory group, and we listen to them. And that's all part of our consultations.
The honorable member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to share with the minister that I did visit his own constituency, and I went to a farmer, I cannot disclose the name, in Ashern. And I met him and his father, who were struggling with the impacts of drought, and they clearly said to me that our MLA and the member from Interlake Gimli is not responding to our emails. Who do we go to? Then they knocked at my door, and I took my vehicle and visited them in Ashern, and they were hoping for some support, but they didn't receive any support from minister's office at that time. But the thing is, if the minister and his government thinks that those changes were for the favor of the farmers, or doing something great for the stewards of land, especially people who care for these crown lands, what was the impact of that decision? I ask again, how much additional revenue these crown land changes brought to Manitoba?
The honorable minister.
So the the member is starting to get a little lonely with the truth there. He's taking snapshots of time. The member is well aware. We came up with the most comprehensive drought program in Manitoba history. And it takes time to put a program like that together. The other provinces that reacted knee-jerk reaction and just said, okay, that's it, we're going to give everybody in the province $100 per head, $100 per head. So whether a producer needed it or not, he got the $100 per head. But the producer that needed $250 per head didn't get it. They only got 100. In Manitoba, we focused on the producers that needed the help. So the member is taking a snapshot in time and extrapolating from it. That producer, I well know who he's talking about, was ecstatic with the great work that the department did on producing that drought program.
Before I recognize the honorable member for Burrows, I will just remind the minister and other members of the committee that the terms "lonely with the truth" is coming awfully close to accusation of lying. So I would just throw that note of caution to members of this committee. The honorable member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm really interested to hear the minister's thoughts about the recent survey done under his leadership. 85% of the respondents support the ability for leaseholders to transfer their lease to someone else, something the PC government eliminated when they changed the rules in 2019. Now, we have the results of the survey on the table. I want to know, and Manitoban producers, ranchers want to know, what's the action that this minister would be taking after he has seen the results and the feelings of Manitoba ranchers.
The honorable minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I am very proud of this government for putting together the Engage MB website. Under the previous NDP government, they didn't listen to anybody. They didn't have Engage MB. They had nothing, nowhere for somebody to go and put their opinion forward. We, as this government, appreciate and respect the opinions of the Manitoba public. And that's exactly why we designed Engage MB and listen to farmers, listen to Manitobans. That is a very powerful tool that this government uses to engage and listen, and then take that information and decide what policies can be brought forward out of it. So yes, there was 85% of people that responded in one certain direction. But under the NDP, there would be 0%. There would be zero because they never listened to anybody. They didn't have Engage MB. So I just want to say that that's outstanding work by this government to have that tool there so that we can actually listen to Manitobans and then act on the information and consultations that we receive through Engage MB. I didn't hear his question.
The honorable member for Burrows.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And what the results of this survey are saying is exactly what the ranchers were saying before this survey was launched, because they knew that these changes are wrong. Unit transfers should be allowed. There are so many producers in Manitoba who planned their retirement according to the rules available at the time of making decisions. That was decades back. And now the minister took away this option of unit transfer. So it feels like somebody has worked for a department for 39 years and all of a sudden government says there's no pension. How does that sound? Those ranchers are suffering. And now the minister cannot run away from the fact, because it's in black and white what the producers were saying and suggesting years ago. That is right. That's on his table now. 85% of the producers are demanding unit transfers. Does the minister plan to reverse those changes and help these producers who are feeding us all?
The honorable minister.
Yeah, one of the things that also came out of it, Engage MB, is easier and access to Ag Crown land, and that's what we've done. It is up. It actually increased the young farmers' access in this last auction up to 40%. 40% of the Ag Crown land that was won at this last auction went to young farmers. We also, our active leases have gone up. Under the NDP, we've increased our active leases by almost 4%. So everything in the members' statement about them being for ag is wrong. They wouldn't even listen to ag producers. They didn't have somewhere to go. We designed Engage MB, and so now producers have somewhere to actually voice their concerns. And yes, we're a listening government. Everything that we do through Engage MB is taken in, it's looking at, it's actioned upon. The policies that will take that into consideration as our consultations. Absolutely, Engage MB is the most powerful tool for people to reach out to on multiple fronts, not just agriculture, but government in general. It's a very important tool for producers in this case to voice their opinion on.
The honorable member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to continue on this point. It's good that people are using this virtual communication platform, and I appreciate the wonderful people in the department who have developed this tool. But the fact is that there are still some people, due to many reasons, they are not able to participate in this survey because of literacy issues or connectivity issues or their comfort level using this system. And if this PC government had not cut positions in the department, if we still had more number of farm production extension specialists in Crown lands, if we have more number of ag offices still open, this number, 85%, it would jump up to 95 or 98%. Because we are excluding so many producers who are comfortable physically going to an office, knocking at the door, talking to the Crown Land specialist. How do they talk to the Crown Land specialist when there is no one available there? So survey is good, results are there, but the minister refuses to commit any action on this survey. So what was the purpose of the survey then? We have the survey, no plan to take action. That means that was just for the purpose of saying that, yes, we did listen to you. Listening without action means nothing. I have to ask this question again and again because I'm supposed to. I represent the people who are being impacted by these decisions. And I still wonder why this survey was not done earlier. So if the minister is doing this survey now, that means the Crown Land changes, they were done without any survey. Because if this survey was done before making those changes, 85% of the people would oppose those changes. But the government didn't want to plan bottom up. The government didn't want to listen to the voices that matter. They simply went ahead and made changes. I would like to ask the minister why this survey was not done before making these changes.
The Honourable Minister?
Yeah, the member talks about people not having access through Engage MB, and I would like to inform the member that over and above community engagement and consultations, we consulted with Manitoba Grasslands and Forage Association and all their members. Manitoba beef producers, they were a large part of this. Keystone Ag producers, and if the member remembers last night, they represent 15,000 producers, and they were part of the consultations. And recognizing that Rome wasn't built in a day, but the members opposite, they want to keep everything stagnant. Under their government, everything was stagnant. And when things continued to grow, like the hog sector, they actually brought in a moratorium to cease agriculture in the hog sector in Manitoba. So they're talking about consultations. I know for a fact they didn't consult on that. They did not. And this government, we consult, we listen, we're going to continue to listen. And the member opposite suggests earlier in his comments that we put a moratorium, like they did on hog barns. We put a moratorium on buying and selling farmland so the farm sizes don't change, so we can keep small farms. I don't know, that doesn't look like any sort of government that I'd want. So I'm glad that they're not going to be successful in this next election. And we're going to continue to consult and listen. The producers know who they are. Keystone Ag producers, as I mentioned, represents 15,000, not just producers, households. 15,000 households. And the member suggests that there's no consultation. All that, and Manitoba Grasslands and Forage Association as well was part of it. And there's more that escapes my memory at the moment here, but I'll endeavor to get to expand on that list in my next question.
The Honourable Member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're talking about Crown lands. And the minister mentioned so many organizations that I respect so much, and I know their leadership personally. I communicate with them. They're doing great work for Manitoba ag industry. But did the minister just miss or did not consult Manitoba Crown Lands Leaseholders Association? Because that's an organization that represent the people who are being impacted by these decisions. I just want to know if Manitoba Crown Lands Leaseholders Association was consulted, specifically as the minister mentions other organizations, and maybe the minister reached out to them with a letter or email or picked up the phone and talked to the leadership. Did the minister's consultation process involve Manitoba Crown Lands Leaseholders Association specifically?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Yes. We had a meeting, we had a direct meeting, myself, excuse me, and multiple other MLAs, the department, right here in this building in room 230, that is kind of kitty corner. It's across the hall over there. I can take the member and show him the room if he would like. Beautiful room, I might add. There's actually a movie filmed in there, if the member wants to check that out. But the answer to his question is yes.
The Honourable Member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was not successful. getting any commitment from the minister that he would take any action on this 85% respondents that want him to bring back unit transfers. He won't commit. So how long I should keep asking the same question again and again and again? So let me change a bit here and ask the minister, can the minister share what percentage of successful bidders of Crown lands were young Manitobans again?
The Honorable Minister?
Okay, maybe I'll go a little slower this time because I mentioned it multiple times. It's just shy of 40% of the Ag Crown land was won by young farmers at our last auction.
The Honorable Member for Burrows?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the minister shy of sharing the percentage of acres allotted to young Manitobans?
The Honorable Minister?
That would probably take many, many hours of work by the department to break down each package and give that. I am very proud of our young producers that are getting into the into farming. As I mentioned earlier in my comments, I have some cousins that are getting older, and their three sons are on the farm with them. But I'm sure when the day comes that my older cousin retires, that farm's going to split up into three, and then at that point, they might be looking at access for Ag Crown land. So I'm very, very proud to say that this system in the last auction was just shy of 40% of Crown land was won by young farmers.
The Honorable Member for Burrows?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's obviously the number of farmers. That's what we're talking about here. But I'm really interested to know what percentage of the land, number of acres, were allotted to young farmers. In the meantime, maybe the minister is working on gathering that information. I would like to ask, what was the size of the largest parcel of land given away during the recent auctions done by the department?
The Honorable Minister?
Yeah, while we're waiting to see if we can get that information and how that falls under Freedom of Information and Privacy Protection Act, if the member is trying to tie it to a certain name, I'm pretty sure the information's public, so he could go on and look All the results were posted online, so I'm sure the member will endeavor to go and look online for the public information. What I'm not prepared to do is disclose private information, which I recognize the member hasn't asked for private information as of yet. But I would like to talk a little bit more about the other people that we consulted through not only Engage MB and Keystone Ag Producers, Manitoba Beef Producers, as I mentioned, Manitoba Grasslands and Forage Association, along with community consultations. We had Crown Land clients. We actually reached out to producers that have Crown Land and or are looking to obtain Crown Land. So we have that list from people that participated in auctions at certain points in the past. So every single one of those people were reached out to. There's also the watershed districts, the Bison Association, Community Pasture Association, AMM, Association of Manitoba Municipalities, Cattle Feeders Association, and that's just a few more that I thought of, and I'm sure I'll add to those after, but if the member wants to ask another question so we don't just roll time away here while we're endeavoring to find that previous answer.
The honourable member for Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to clarify that I didn't intend to ask any private information about somebody who took the land. My purpose of asking the question was, for example, if one successful bidder took, say, 5,000 acres, one parcel of 5,000 acres, and another one took just 500, say, so that would mean one was the young farmer, another was not. That would mean that 50% of the successful bidders were young farmers. So that doesn't make any sense, because we have to take into account actually the number of acres. I have talked to so many producers, and producers are sharing with me that they have seen like buses full of people out from outside Manitoba, and they are looking at the lands and making plans how to get this land, and just before the auction is held. So people are worried about their land being taken by the people with deeper pockets. But we are interested to hand over the land to those who love the land, who actually want to farm the land, who actually have passion about farming, and they have some farming experience. So we don't want to end up having this land given to those who are just investing their money and keeping that land doing nothing. So the purpose the intention was not to get the names of who took it, but I was interested to know the size of the parcels that was given out. So if it's still possible to know the largest parcel size and the smallest parcel size during the recent auctions that were held by the department.
The honourable minister.
Yeah, the member talks about young farmers and having them get access to land. Well, this government has increased the Ag Crown Land active leases by almost 4%. So under the NDP, they put on moratoriums. They had lower Ag Crown Land allotments. And then even the leader of their party yesterday in the chamber said that they will roll back the education property tax credit, which gives $54.8 million. $54.8 million that goes to producers. And this government is going to take it away. This NDP government, if they ever form government, this NDP party has committed to rolling that back. $54.8 million that goes right into producers' pockets today will be rolled back if NDP ever forms government. So I pity the day, 20, 30 years down the line, where that may happen, they will take that away. They will make producers pay more. How are young producers? The member talks about young producers and his passion for young producers. I'm adding the word passion. I'm trying to give him a little bit of leeway here. But he is committing, and he hasn't said he's not, because he stood up in the chamber and voted against $54.8 million going back to the producers. He stood up in the chamber, the member for Burroughs, his leader, the whole NDP team stood up in the chamber and voted against $54.8 million going back to producers, including young farmers. That's going to hurt them. And he talks about access to Crown land. We have, in the last auction, as I mentioned, just under 40% of Ag Crown land was won by young producers. They talk about putting on moratoriums on buying and selling land, just like they put moratoriums on hog barns. That's not the way this government's going to go.
The honourable member for Burroughs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So let's talk about standing up. I stood up for regular Manitobans. Yes, I did, in the chamber. I voted against. What I voted against is what I want to share now. I voted against tax benefits to billionaires that this government intends to. They are writing checks to billionaires. I stood against $1 million check to Cadillac Fairview. I stood against $80,000 check to Charles Koch. I stood against $327,000 check to Gales Weston. Yes, I did stand against these decisions, and I do have a point standing against, because we don't want our taxpayer dollars being sent to billionaires. And this premier...
Order. I want to just remind the members of this committee, this is a committee of agriculture, a very important committee, and I expect there to be respect for people who have the floor, and to limit the amount of heckling that's going on, and please have respect for the people that are asking and answering questions. The honourable member for Burroughs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would continue that I stood against those decisions, which I think are wrong, because our schools need investment. Our healthcare, our infrastructure, our municipalities, they need help. But this government is making wrong choices to help those who never even asked for that help. And the Premier and the PC government is worried about these these rich businesses getting out of business. A business which is making like over $400 million in 3 months. If they didn't get a check worth $327,000, they would go out of business. That does not make any sense. It's clear that this PC government, they stand with billionaires, and we stand with regular Manitobans.
Here, here.
Let me make minister's life a bit easier here. Let's talk about 4-H clubs. And the minister said that he is going to gift me a green tie, because he has got 2. I've only got 1, and I get a hard time matching with my turbans. So let's talk about 4-H clubs and green things. I know the minister loves Clever the cow, and I'm also told that the minister also named her baby Leaf, the calf. I also love 4-H clubs. I also love people who work in 4-H clubs, and I respect those families who choose to send their kids to 4-H clubs, because that's a great program to improve your communication skills, to improve your to give an exposure to your kids regarding various things, especially in rural Manitoba, in art, in beef production, and so on, especially communications. I also sent my older one to the 4-H clubs, and I was so happy to see him, because I got to know about 4-H clubs when I was in university. And I'm still impressed by that program, and we want that program to grow. So I expect that when I ask this question about 4-H clubs, the minister commit that he won't talk about wet shortage, or he won't talk about the Crown lands? Let us focus ourselves for a few minutes on 4-H clubs. Can the minister share that how many students or registrants are there in Manitoba 4-H programs currently in Manitoba?
The Honorable Minister.
Well, I don't have that number off the top of my head, so I apologize, but yes, 4-H is an outstanding program. I remember going to it when I was young. Of course, I was only able to attend for the short period of time after calving and before we started haying. So I was on the very short program of it. So at 8 years old, I was out raking. So I don't know if that'd be frowned upon nowadays, but it definitely wasn't back then. So yes, 4-H is outstanding, and we were proud to sponsor Clover the cow with $5,000 going towards it. And just so people know what we're talking about, in case people that are watching today don't know what Clover is, if you didn't get the full video of me working with Clover, I will say it's an avatar that is that you can give real scenarios of birthing a calf. So you can position. I've chosen to name the calf Leaf. I think it's kind of stuck, 4-leaf clover, but Leaf is the calf that you're able to deliver from inside a clover. But real life scenarios and important investments like that in 4-H from the government are important. So it actually has air bladders that you can pump up to increase the friction and simulate a harder calf birth. You can place it breeched. They actually have one similar at the Western Veterinary College of Medicine in our neighboring province, Saskatchewan. They use it there for right in the vet school. So it's a very, very powerful tool, very powerful avatar. But you can inflate the bladders. You can place the calf breeched. You can turn its nose back, or you can have one leg behind and the head still facing forward. And all these different scenarios actually can train the kids how to deliver calves. Is that the number?
That's the numbers in Canada. There's the smooth.
In Manitoba. Okay. So the calf, you can actually use real things that you would use to deliver a calf, like calving chains that you would use to put around the front hooves to pull it out, and all the other tools that go along with delivering a calf. So it's a very important tool. And it's important that we as a government continue to support 4-H and all of the work that they do. Again, I participated when I was young. I had limited time. I could go there throughout the year, but I thoroughly enjoyed everything that I was exposed to. And I still remember my director's name, Diane Riding. I still remember her, and she's still involved with 4-H and different things. So when it's in you, when you start participating at a young age, people stay with it for a long, long time. And it's very important to support our 97 clubs in Manitoba. All 97 of them, even though they have different focuses, they're still an outstanding way to educate children and incorporate them into agriculture so they can kind of do hands-on. And all 1,070 members are excited when they come to, I've had numerous visits here at the legislature, and they're just excited to be engaged and learn about everything. And our 327 leaders that still help educate and get a hands-on for those kids is outstanding. And they have 1,341 different projects that they do around the province.
Order. The hour being 5 p.m., committee rise.
Already?